Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast, Season 3, Episode 15. This is I just woke up, realized I had to do a podcast, and I'm doing my podcast before 7 o'clock in the morning, before I got to leave at 7:30. And that, my friends, is part of the topic of the podcast. The first part. Buyers are back, baby. It has been busy over the last week. I'm just getting this podcast out the morning it's supposed to go out. So we're going to talk about what we're seeing in the market. Okay, so buyers are back. They've been kicked off the bench and they're asking questions, and we've got volumes increasing. That's the first thing we talk about. Well, we actually talk about inflation quickly and then get into that. Second thing we talk about, a really scary and exciting report from RBC Economics around the housing market shortage and how bad it's going to get for some people. Finally, I go through for free. You don't have to pay for this. I go through for free the rate advice I give my clients, okay? And I talk about the moving target. I talk about what we see, how I advise them. That's the final part of the podcast. That's actually probably your best value for the day. All right. Anyway, I'm going to go clear my throat and try to get dressed for work. And other than that, enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Finance, life, business, and everything in between. And now, your host, Stephen Green.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast, Season 3, Episode 15. We've got some interesting stuff to talk about today. It's been a very, very fascinating week, especially after last week where we had that crazy 7 days of U.S. bank failures and Tiffy Boy doing his thing. Now we've kind of got the next steps after everything's happened. So let's get right into it. First of all, and I'm just going to talk about this briefly and then get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast. Inflation is down, like considerably down. So we had the monthly report come out. I believe it's down to 5.1%. I think lowest since like July 2020, something along those lines. So this is a good thing. Now, this next part's not going to shock you, but food is what's holding these inflation numbers up. So it's a good news, bad news story. We've isolated the problem, but at least it's coming down, right? And remember, I always say this, hope. As long as there's hope, all right, we're in good shape. So I think this is going to continue to come down. I'm going to lose my mind in a good way, kind of, if Tiffy Boy is right and he thinks he can get inflation back down to where it should be in the 2 to 3% range. Because I've been talking about, is a 4 to 5% inflation just embedded now because of the way things are? Because clearly food's hanging around, right? That higher inflation is still there. So, hey, we'll see what happens. The way things are right now, household savings balance sheets are shrinking. People are using savings. People are not traveling. They're just not spending the extra money. I know we're not in our family. Right? Hey, we got a choice here. Are we going to buy the extra bag of milk, or are we going to go to the movies tonight? Like, that is the reality. Now, Canadians do love their debt. So is household unsecured debt increasing? Absolutely it is. So, we'll see what happens. I think the second that he really announces that, they've reached their goal, hey, we could see things turn around quicker than we're noticing now. So, all right, so a couple of things I want to talk about today. So it is Wednesday morning, March 22nd, almost 6:30 in the morning. I have to leave in an hour, but I've been so busy over the last week, I haven't even had a chance to record this podcast. So if I sound a little raspy like I just woke up, I did. So it has been, volumes have increased significantly, okay? We have had, like, the buyers I've been talking about that have been just sitting on the sidelines, they're back. They're asking a lot of questions. What can I afford now? it's a little bit trickier, a lot more prep work we have to do for them. I used this term before. Mortgage brokers, mortgage agents, we aren't just, one-trick ponies. We are mortgage planners. I talk to a lot of clients, and we have to come up with a plan for them to purchase a home. Not all the time, but a large majority, to be honest with you. Even, just side note, people whose mortgages are coming up for renewal, it's a different world. It's not just a, hey, here's your renewal rate, see you later, God bless you, you're done. No. I met with a couple last night, and they have 2 properties, incredible equity available, great cash flow on their properties. They're both rentals. And even with that, they even said, we're shocked that we did listen and come and see you early. and we're shocked that we do have to do some planning. We got to talk to our accountant. Do we do this? Do we do that? We got to get this together. So mortgage broker, mortgage agent, we've become planners. And that's a good thing. That is our job, right? Anyway, like I said, buyers are back. We're noticing, and this is going to be interesting because inventories are dropping. Months of inventory, which if you don't know that statistic, is, let's say, for example, on the Kitchener-Waterloo Cambridge board, if we stopped listing houses today, how long would it take to sell out? Like everything done and gone. And so that's a great indicator as to where things are with the market, what is available, what is, how much inventory is out there. And that's all shrinking. London, St. Thomas, it's all coming down, right? They've seen almost a full month reduction in inventory month over month. So, and then Kitchener-Waterloo is right around 1 month of inventory. So it's going to become competitive. I've now started to have the conversations with my buyers around what to do if their realtor says to them, hey, if you want this house, you have to go firm to compete. Firm meaning you go in with your offer with no conditions at all. I haven't had that conversation in 8 months because we just haven't been in that market anymore. So my shameless plug to everybody, if you don't have a mortgage broker who is going through this stuff with you and they're truly planning and they're not getting, documents up front, again, shameless plug, okay? You got to be asking yourself what's going on. I've met with a lot of clients who have met with other brokers, and they were blown away by the fact that I actually went through everything step by step with them, top to bottom. Okay, so folks, buyers are back. If you've got a house and you've been holding off selling, talk to your real estate agents. Is this a good time to sell? Okay, and by the way, again, shameless plug. If you were looking for a great real estate agent, let me know. I could definitely refer you. All right, moving on. So just hot off the press, and I'll be honest with you, this is actually what reminded me that I got to do my podcast. I got an email this morning. And listen, I know I left RBC, fair enough, but their RBC economics department is like top shelf, folks. Okay, so if you have not subscribed, go to, I think it's rbceconomics.com. And I'm telling you, the data they come out with is incredible. And I always say this to people. Sometimes I'll meet with a client and they're like, I read online, or I'm sure you've heard the term Dr. Google, right? Try to make sure that you are getting your information and data from reputable sources. Me, I'm pretty reputable. I don't care what they say about me. But RBC Economics has some great stuff. So, hot off the press this morning, and this is kind of scary and exciting all at the same time. So the headline is, Canada's shortage of rental housing could quadruple by 2026. So let's just wrap our brains around this. Okay. It's 2023. Okay. We have record immigration. We are bringing in new Canadians at record paces. Like, we're talking doors are open. Come on in. We don't have enough houses for the people who live here already. We don't have enough houses for the people that are coming in, let alone rental housing. And so let's look at this horrible game of dominoes where we've now had this pinch in the market where, let's face it, if you are a real estate investor, you've picked up your toys and you've gotten the hell out of that sandbox. You're not even buying right now. Some are, but it's tough to make the numbers work at certain interest rates plus the price point, and where rents haven't completely caught up to that amount. So when we look at this, if we've all of a sudden have a rental shortage that has quadrupled, well, that's because we've had a period of time where no one's been buying anything for rental purposes, right? And so now we're going to have rental increases go even higher. So the bottom line here is, and this is scary. This is the scary part. Without a significant boost in rental stock, Canada's rental housing gap could exceed, wait for it, 120,000 by 2026, quadrupling the current deficit. Wait for it. Here's the punchline. This will tip the housing market into a greater state of imbalance and drive the optimal vacancy rate of 3% even further out of reach. Okay, so let's just, I hate using this term because I think a Kardashian brought it up, but let's unpack this for a moment, okay? Let's look at it from a couple of different perspectives. If you are a person who will not own a home for whatever reason, income level, savings, situation, whatever, get ready, your rent's going up. Your rent will increase significantly. When vacancy rate, supply and demand, my friends, when vacancy rates go down, that goes up. Your rental amount goes up. Okay, so that's that one group. The second group, if you are getting ready to buy a house, okay, buy a house. Like, get in, because you do not want to be renting. And I think we have to get, not me, I'm 44, I'm past that, but if you are getting into the market, you got to get over the fact that you might not buy the perfect home right off the bat. That's pretty rare. You might have to get a starter home. So suck it up and deal with it. Third part. That was harsh. I just realized what I said was harsh. Third part. If you are an investor, two things. If you're on the sidelines, you might want to buy something because clearly rates are coming down. We know that. But rents are going to go up. So you might want to prep yourself to get back into the market sooner rather than later. Multi-residential could be where it's at. Okay. Now the other part of that, if you're an investor and you have existing rental properties, we have to remember big freaking picture, because we had a lot of investors that just cashed in and was like, we're getting out of this. We don't want to invest anymore. Rates are too high. Unload the asset because it wasn't working on a short-term basis. Real estate investing is long-term. This is important to understand. So those three groups of people have very different issues. If this happens where the rental market is going to shrink and the shortage is going to quadruple, folks, that is insanity. Like, you got to wrap your brain around how big that is. Okay, that's going to create huge issues. So those three groups of people, you got things you got to look at and worry about. Moving on. So I want to talk about rates because, when I meet with clients are completely confused about rates, and that's okay. I do this for a living, and damn it, I'm sometimes confused by these damn rates. So let me explain how I explain rates to my clients, okay? Because it's important, and I tell this to my clients. I say, my advice today might change in 3 weeks, right? We're another bank failure away from my advice changing to you, okay? So rate advice is a moving target. If you're talking to a mortgage person and the advice is the same today as it was a year ago, 2 years ago, that mortgage person is not on top of it. Sorry, but they're not, okay? So rate advice. This is what I tell clients as of today, March 22nd, 2023. Okay. There are there's really, it's a spectrum right now. Okay. And on that spectrum, there's really three parts. On the extreme one end are our 5-year fixed rates. Okay. So a 5-year fix, I don't know, low fives, mid fives, whatever. Okay. It doesn't matter. But those 5-year fixed rates, it's less about the number of the rate and more about the feature. So that is, if you're a type of client that is not good with risk, you want to know that your rate is not going to move. Doesn't matter if a bank fails, Donald Trump is arrested, or, the Blue Jays win the World Series. It doesn't matter. That's your rate. Boom, done. Call me in 5 years. Okay? That leaves you with zero flexibility. Zero. You're stuck in that rate. On the other end of the spectrum, complete other end, is the variable rate mortgage. Okay? We still have people taking variable rate. Forget the rate. Rate, I don't know, 6.5%, prime minus, not very much. On that end, the only couple of reasons why you take a variable is if you have any uncertainty in the property. Maybe you're selling. Maybe you are not sure what you're going to do with the property. I don't know. But on a variable rate mortgage, the only penalty you will pay is 3 months interest penalty. Now, it gives you, I say kind of gives you cost certainty on the penalty, because if rates move, then your penalty is going to be more or less, right? We can't say that we can completely predict the penalty if the rates move, but you get the point. The other feature with the variable, of course, is when rates inevitably come down, you can lock that variable into a fixed with the respective lender at any time with no penalty. However, here's the hitch. Let's say you take a 5-year variable today. Less than a year, you're like, oh man, rates are down. I want to lock into a fixed. Well, you can only lock in to the term rate that you have left. So let's say in a year, you're like, I want to lock into a fixed. You can lock into only a 4-year fixed. So you got to understand, it's not just lock into whatever term you want when you want. It's when you want based on the term that's left. So important to understand that might not be the best strategy for everybody. Okay, so one end of the spectrum, we got the 5-year fixed. Opposite end is the variable. In the middle is what married couples will completely understand in their lives. Call it the compromise, okay? So it's your 1 year, it's your 2-year fixed. Those rates are just higher. The banks know that people are flooding that short-term market, waiting for rates to drop. Lower than variable, higher than a 5-year fixed. I don't know, mid to high fives-ish. And that is almost your compromise. Okay, so zero flexibility for the short term you take it. You're probably not going to want to break it in the middle, but you're rolling the dice on, I think the rates are going to come down in a year, or the rates are going to come down in 2 years. And then I'll have complete flexibility. I can do another 2, another 1. I can go 5. Unlike the variable, pardon me. Remember, I just woke up. So unlike the variable where you got to lock into the term that's left, well, the fix you got complete open to wherever you want to go. So relative to the term. And bank as well. So if you're done 1 or 2 years, you can go to whatever bank you want as well. So that's the rate advice I give my clients. It's on a spectrum. And I think at the end of the day, and this is really important, clients ask me what I would do. What would you do in my situation? Well, I can't answer that, right? So I ask probing questions. Again, tell me about the property and your plans. What is your risk appetite? Can you sleep at night knowing your rate may change? Can you sleep at night knowing that in a year or two, you got to decide on what you're doing with your mortgage? People fret over this, and I get it, totally. Because you're making a decision that's going to impact the rest of the next year to 5 years of your life. And you don't know. Nobody knows what the hell is going to happen out there. Nobody. And this is where people are not sure what's going to happen. This is where, as mortgage brokers, we have to give incredible advice Folks, you've heard it here. You've heard it before. Whether I work for a bank and now that I'm a mortgage broker, the rate is important. Absolutely. Do not pay double for me, but it is not the most important. I can put you into the best rate mortgage, right? Clap my hand, say congratulations, here's your best rate. Okay, you got the best rate on the market. However, that mortgage is not the right product for you. Okay, you want to refi, you can't. You got to sell your house. You know, there are restrictions on mortgages, guys, right? So the rate's important. So when I talk to a client, they're like, what's your best rate? Honestly, if you are completely motivated by the best rate, you got to be careful with that. Be very, very careful. Ask a lot of questions. It's not just about the best rate. So, that feels better getting that off my chest. I should maybe do this every morning like this. Get my day started off well, get everything off my chest, and off we go. Anyway, so those are the big three things happening. If you have any questions, let me know. Hey, in my comments, or in the comments of whatever platform you're watching, throw some comments down, man. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Not a lot of people do. I know in your head, you're probably like, man, this guy's off his rocker. I got stuff to say, and then I don't see anything in the comments. Having said that, whether you love me, like me, hate me, or otherwise, 5 stars, baby. 5 stars wherever you're at. I would love that. Folks, have an amazing week. Until next time, what is it? What did Joanne McLeod and the guy say? Stay fit and have fun. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Green Effect Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play so you catch the next episode. And don't forget to leave a review. Much appreciated.